I'll ask the Minister of Forests to close debate.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. I know some of my colleagues are eager to get on to the next piece of legislation, which is very important, but I do want to provide an opportunity to be able to respond to all of the comments and discussion that has occurred on Bill 14. Forestry is so much about people and place. I know that you got lots of beautiful trees in Langley. Langley is a very beautiful community, but British Columbia is a beautiful province, 95 hectares covered in forests, and it's a province that has a sector, forestry, that built this province. Forestry paid for this building. Forestry paid for our communities. Forestry paid for the schools that we all call home in our communities. And I'm so very proud to be a part of a government led by our Premier that is working hard every single day to restore confidence in this sector. I want to thank all of my colleagues across the way, in particular the critic for forestry, for his words, for his perspectives. It's fair to say that we don't agree on many things, but I will never question his passion for the file. And I say that from all of the comments. I had an opportunity to be able to either watch or read the transcripts of all of the remarks, including the remarks from some of my own colleagues, in particular a shout out to the member from Ladysmith Oceanside, who has a deep, deep understanding of forestry as it relates to her community. I think of the member for Wandafuka Malahat, who talked about the blood, sweat and tears that he has shed working in the logging sector. I think of my colleague from Cowichan Valley and the work that she has done in the last number of months to support her community through some really trying times. Forestry, like I said, Madam Speaker, is about people and place. But let me be very clear. I was enjoying the conversation, enjoying the dialogue. I will not, Madam Speaker, be lectured by the member from Nechako Lakes. The member from Nechako Lakes, the former leader of the official opposition, knows nothing about forestry. We have to get the guy to show up in his community, to actually talk to forestry workers, to actually talk to mill operators. That community has been devastated by mill closures and curtailments. And let's remember, Madam Speaker, that on the day that the Canfor mill in Vanderhoof closed, instead of reaching out to the local mayor and council, instead of reaching out to the forestry workers, what did the former leader of the opposition do?
Member, just a reminder, keep remarks specific to the bill.
Absolutely, Madam Speaker. What did that member do? Went and set up a podium and started giving speeches, never once reached out to that mayor. Bill 14, Madam Speaker, is a very important piece of legislation. By no means does Bill 14 fix all of the challenges that exist in the forest sector. We are talking about a sector that needs to change desperately to be able to meet the needs of British Columbians today. Bill 14 takes important steps down the road of ensuring that BC Timber Sales, an organization that we can all acknowledge has not been performing these last number of years, can perform. And I heard from my colleagues across the way that they are supportive of the desires of our government as it relates to full rotation forest stewardship. They're excited about the opportunity to see more access to fire-damaged timber. They've got some reservations about contract logging, and I think it's completely fair for them to raise those concerns, completely fair for them to raise those concerns. We have had pilots in the past that was referenced in the members across the way's remarks in the late 80s as well as the 90s, but the forest sector looks entirely different today than it does in the 90s and 80s. For example, as we talked about in my remarks, First Nations in 2003 had 3% access to the annual allowable cut. Today they have 22% access. They are going to be strong partners in this work. When I think of remarks from my colleague across the way from Caribou Chilcotin, who I might add has done an outstanding job advocating for his community, is always a delight to be able to work with him. He raises concerns, he brings forward issues, and I put that offer out to him, and I put that offer out to anyone across the way. If you have permits that are causing difficulties, bring them forward. It's my job to ensure that my ministry is responding in an appropriate manner. And we've had those conversations, and I think in many ways we've been able to address those challenges, because permitting is not an issue from a ministry perspective. It's all the work that goes into developing a permit for consideration. And that's the work that we're doing right now. And Bill 14 is a part of that. Bill 14 is about speeding things up. Bill 14 is not about creating more jobs in the Ministry of Forests. Bill 14 is about taking advantage of the loggers and contractors throughout British Columbia and creating jobs and opportunities for them. And so when you have a member across the way who is a former BC Liberal, part of a record, that lost 100,000 jobs when they sat on this side of the House, 100,000 jobs, Madam Speaker, I am sorry. I am not going to take any lectures from that member across the way. I am proud of a government that is seeing investments. Bill 14 sends investor confidence in our forest sector. And it's not just me. It's not just my colleagues on this side of the House that have spoken to it. Let me read some quotes. Todd Chamberlain, General Manager of the Interior Loggers Association, and I quote, says, "The Interior Logging Association strongly supports the BCTS review and proposed legislative updates. These changes are critical to providing contractors with the stability they need to invest in their workforce, modernize equipment, and sustain the communities that depend on forestry," unquote. Kim Hackstad, the Council of Forest Industries, says, and I quote, "This is a step forward that builds momentum to improve wood flow and support jobs. We remain committed to working with government on the next steps to ensure predictable and economic access to fibre and move toward an annual 45 million cubic metre harvest." Jeff Daw, and I quote, Madam Speaker, the president of PPWC, a union that has faced big challenges.
Excuse me, Minister. I'd just like to recognize the member from Peace River South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And with respect to the minister, through the chair, I would like to raise a point of order that we are speaking to Bill 14, and I'm not hearing that in the conversation to the point where I think we should. Thank you.
Thank you, Member, and Minister's reminder to keep your remarks relevant to Bill number 14. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I'll refer to the members opposite. There was some validator quotes provided in support of Bill 14. I'm happy to send the link over to the member across the way. So I'll just continue with a couple more, because I think it is important for the members opposite, because they're going to get an opportunity to vote in a moment on Bill 14, whether to send it to the next stage, and that is committee. And I want the member across the way from Peace River South to know that Jeff Daw, the president of the Pulp and Private and Public Workers of Canada, said, and I quote about Bill 14, "These changes to BC timber sales are a positive step forward for workers across the pulp and paper sector." I could go on, Madam Speaker. There's lots of quotes. Lenny Joe from the First Nations Forestry Council said, "The Forestry Council supports the current BCTS legislative amendments as they align with First Nations long-term stewardship and ensure more flexibility with the program." Look, I know it's difficult for members to come in here and debate legislation. There's lots of questions. That's why we've got committee stage. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to participate in that committee stage. But let me be very clear. We have a sector here that is struggling. We also have a sector filled with thousands of workers, over 100,000 workers, that are working hard every single day. On this side of the House, we lift those workers up. We do not talk down to those workers. We do not talk down to this sector. Canfor, an organization, a company here in British Columbia, shared at Kofi that they have invested $900 million in British Columbia since 2019. So Bill 14 is not going to solve all the challenges, Madam Speaker, but it is one important step. It is one important tool, one important initiative that we are taking on in the Ministry of Forests and the Government of British Columbia, led by our Premier, to restore confidence in the sector and be damn sure that we're going to fight like hell for every forestry worker in every forestry community. I am proud to stand and close debate on Bill 14, and I'm proud to be on a side of a government that is committed to forestry workers, committed to forestry communities. And with that, I encourage all members to support Bill 14, and I look forward to the questions.
Thank you, Minister. And before we proceed to the vote, I just want to take a moment and recognize we've got friends from the Filipino Legacy Society, and hope they all enjoyed the visit. Warren Flanders, the chair, Madji, the vice chair, Lawrence Tsai, the treasurer, Christine De Castro, secretary, Matthew Remedius, legal counsel, Alan Jung with the legal team, and David DeColongan, director. And thank you for your service to the community. Members, the question is second reading of Bill number 14, Forest Statutes Amendment Act 2026. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion's carried. Minister?
Madam Speaker, I move that the bill be referred to a committee of the whole House at the next sitting of the House after today. There we go. Okay.
Members, you've heard the question. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carried.